Hello and welcome to the installation demo for the license plate flipper. Today we're going to start off by showing you what tools you need to install it and what's going to come in your package. So first off, we're going to need a drill. We're going to use a Phillips drill and as well as a 1/2 inch drill bit. We're going to need a measuring tape and a pen to mark with, some wire snippers, some pliers with a good grip on them and some leverage. We're going to need a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver. And we're going to go with a small ratchet with a 5/16 socket, but also a nut driver would work okay. And don't forget your eye protection. So first off, after you open your box, your license plate flipper is going to come connected already to its motor assembly. And in the box it's going to come with a wiring harness connection. What we're going to want to do right off the bat is find a 12-volt source to connect that to so that we can pop this open halfway. To do so, after it's connected, you just simply tap the button. If you hold the button all the way down, it's going to go all the way to that respective direction. And we want to do about halfway. Okay? Just for this purpose of installing it. Okay? So once we have that, we're going to take this guy, we can just disconnect that now. We're going to bring this with us over to our trunk. And our first step is going to be to remove our old license plate. Okay, once we got that done, set the license plate aside. Hold on to the bolts there. And then we're going to use our license plate flipper to help us figure out where we're going to cut into our trunk lid for the cables. So first thing we're going to do to get that going is we're going to lightly hang our license plate flipper by the existing license plate holes. Doesn't need to be too tight, just enough to get it to hang. That's good enough. Same thing on the other side. Just loosely. Now if we can get our camera in here to give us a good view, we're going to want to go follow along where the cables are going to go in. Let's see. And we're just going to go right down and below there. So let's get our marking pen, lift up, and mark right here where we're going to drill. Okay. Once we have our mark in place, we can take this back off. Then we're going to set everything aside once more and get ready to drill. Now we're going to go back to our trunk lid, find our mark, and apply even pressure while we drill into the trunk lid. Now that we have our trunk drilled and ready for our license plate flipper, we're going to prepare our motor assembly to install. First step to do that is we got to open the assembly by taking off these 4 bolts. Take these apart and we're going to set them aside for later. You could do this with a regular Phillips screwdriver too. No big deal, we're just doing this to save time. Okay, now that we got that loose, we can pop the lid off, set it aside. And now that we're in here, we can see what we have. We have a tensioner and we have our cable spool. We're going to use our ratchet, our 5/16 ratchet, to loosen up our tensioner so we can get access to the spool inside. These aren't on there very tight, so pretty much once you break them loose, you can remove them by finger strength. And we'll set those aside with their other hardware. Okay, now that we have those off, this simply comes off by pulling up. And we just want to kind of unwrap it from our cables, and we'll set that aside. Now that we have the cable spool exposed, we can simply pull up, and that guy should come loose, and we're going to let the cable unravel. This will allow us to simply remove the cables by pushing them out, and then we can set our spool aside too. Okay, and once we're in here, we can use our wire snippers to remove the cable ends. And the reason we're doing this is because we have to get our entire cables through that 1/2-inch hole that we just drilled in the trunk lid. So to make sure that we got everything measured correctly, we're going to use our measuring tape here and measure 2 inches down our cable. We're going to mark, and then I'm going to push through here, pull the cable and the cable sleeve out, and we're going to remove this stopper. We need to keep that for later. Now, the offset for the 2 inches that we're going to cut off the cable and keep everything even, we're going to cut 2 inches off the cable guide. Measure and mark. Okay. Let's see. Now we can push our cable through here, back through the assembly. And when we're pushing this through, keep an eye inside of the assembly here and see which cable you're pushing through. And you can pull it through until you think you're about 2 inches past where we marked. And we're going to use our wire snippers again, cut at that 2-inch mark, and then we're going to push and guide our cable back through. Okay. From there we can repeat the same process on the other side.